I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey everyone, notice anything different around here? I hope you guys like our new cover art, our new branding. Actually, it's really the first branding we've ever had. I threw together a logo kind of haphazardly when we were launching our podcast. And of course, we did a photo shoot for our cover art back then, but I didn't know where this podcast was going. I didn't know if it would be successful. So long story short, I didn't put a lot of time and energy into the branding. And now that things are really on the rise and our following is growing so much, it was really time to invest in a full-on brand identity for News du Jour separately from Sugar Free Media. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. That's why we've had the Sugar Free Media logo as our cover art for so long, because it's kind of been like in progress. But anyway, I hope you guys love it. And this is going to be the new face of News du Jour going forward. For this chapter, at least, I predict in the future we'll have new cover art launching for fun at different times when it feels like we're in a new era. But for right now, this is the vibe, and I hope you guys love it. Of course, I got a text message right at the end of all that. Sorry, guys, you usually don't hear that kind of thing on the News du Jour, but I'm leaving it in today. We have a lot to go over here, and I'm ready to jump on in. First up, we have a mini story for you guys, and then I'm going to go over a bunch of new sort of updates to the Tyre Nichols situation. And then we have a couple stories after that. Let's jump in. So first up, for our mini story, inflation is slowing and the U.S. economy is setting up for a bounce back. That is according to the IMF. The global economic outlook is getting better, you guys, and that is great news for all of our wallets. Next up, like I mentioned, we're going to go over more information coming to light in the Tyre Nichols case. I do have to issue a content warning here at the top, though. This story, of course, involves police brutality and a murder at the hands of the police. So another officer has been suspended in relation to the Tyre Nichols death, and 2 paramedics have also been relieved of their duties for not abiding protocols, especially not assessing Tyre's condition when he was slumped over against the cop car. Apparently that was especially bad. You know, the medical field really requires equal treatment for everyone, and this is a prime example as to why. The police were kind of treating Tyre like a criminal, but he wasn't. He was pulled over for a traffic violation that was very minor. If the paramedics had just treated him as an emergent patient like he was, maybe we wouldn't be covering his death today. In addition to these issues, it's come to light that a report was written up by these officers right after the incident occurs, and guys, it differs greatly from what we actually see going down in the video footage. They wrote in this report that Tyre had been driving quickly and then was, quote, refusing lawful detention, end quote. But that is not at all what we see on the body cam and street cam video footage. We see the police drawing their weapons before even approaching him in the car, hauling Tyre onto the ground. We heard them yelling contradictory orders at him. And when Tyre, confused, tries to accommodate their demands, but again, they're contradicting each other, he lays on the ground as he was commanded and is pretty much under their control. but they continued to abuse, berate, and beat him, telling him that they would break his hands and spraying pepper spray directly into his face. Why? Honestly, who could possibly answer that question? This was a simple traffic violation. He wasn't resisting them. Why did they use force like this at all? But they, of course, had a different story to tell. On that report, they said that Tyre struck them first and reached for their guns, which is not seen anywhere on the video footage from start to finish. We do not see Tyre strike out against these cops a single time. And yet, the police wrote that this was an aggravated assault against them. They listed themselves as the victims, you guys. I cannot make this shit up. Hearing things like this can be so disheartening because it makes you realize, would we even be talking about this if he hadn't died? If Tyre had somehow survived this brutal beating, would the police, it would have ended up just being the police officer's word against his. So we probably wouldn't have gotten access to the body cam footage or the street cam footage. And there's probably countless cases going on right now like this in the United States where it's just the police officer's word against a civilian. And who are you going to believe in that situation? But the Black Caucus leader, Stephen Horsford, has invited the Nichols family to be his guests for the State of the Union address next week. And this is likely in order to kind of hold Biden accountable to his words. You see, Biden said that the Tyre Nichols case will determine, quote, whether or not we are the country we say we are, end quote. And if that's the case, what is he, the president, going to do about it? We, like the Nichols family, are just going to have to wait and see. So next up, we are discussing some more craziness surrounding the George Santos case. So yesterday, it was announced by George Santos that he will be stepping down from his Republican committee assignments until all the drama surrounding his election dies down, which could be a while, because if you guys remember, there's multiple investigations going down into whether basically he, committed any type of crime on the campaign trail. But things are really heating up in this strange ordeal as several former boyfriends of Santos have now come forward with stories about their mutual ex. And they all sound pretty in line with what we know about Santos from a public standpoint. Lies on lies on lies. These former boyfriends claim that Santos would use lies to coerce and manipulate them to get what he wanted, and some of them were only teens when they were involved with him. Unfortunately, this sounds a lot like what he did to voters. He lied to manipulate them to get what he wanted. So we're just going to have to wait and see if he actually committed any crimes. And we know he did commit crimes down in Brazil. So there's the potential that they will figure out some type of extradition on that. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted if there's any movement in this bizarre case. And lastly for today, I have to issue a content warning. This story involves a suicide bombing. A mosque was bombed in Pakistan. So over 100 people are dead following a mosque suicide bombing in Pakistan. This area of Pakistan had really quieted down quite a bit in recent years, and this is a particularly bad incident for the area. Video footage of a gorgeous, intricately adorned, pastel-lined structure juxtaposed with mountains of rubble and a blown-out wall are coming out of this incident. Ambulances rushed to the scene to try to help as many people as they could. Initially, it was unknown who created this mass chaos, but now the Taliban, or an offshoot really of the Taliban, has taken to Twitter to claim credit for the killings. they sent a suicide bomber into this mosque to actually exact revenge for the killing of a Taliban leader in Afghanistan this past August. There were approximately 300 congregants in the mosque at the time of the attack, according to the New York Times, so it was completely full. There were even security checkpoints in place to keep suicide bombers out of this mosque. How he passed those, no one is sure. There are still many people in hospital, though, with severe injuries. So let's pray that they can all get the care that they need and recover rather than losing more lives to this senseless violence. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "Plans are useless. Planning is indispensable." If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfree media. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just Sugarfree Media, all one word, on TikTok. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour. Broadcasting from